Yeah, the makeup keeps changing each time, doesn't it? I still haven't quite decided what I'm going to do for my Marvin makeup, but hello and welcome, I am Zombie Kitty and welcome back to another review video. So, ta-da! Ta-da! So these are the ALTRverse issue 1. So, last issue we looked at was issue 0. And this is once again Jacksepticeye's comics on Marvin the Magnificent and Jackie Boy Man. So Void Silver is Marvin, the somewhat incredible Jackie Boy Man is Jackie Boy Man. And these came a couple of days ago. I wanted to give a bit of time to actually read through them properly and then write some notes down. I do have some notes here on my phone. So I'm also going to say, right at the top, I'm going to be spoiling the comics as well as Anomaly Found Chase Brody, just because there's something in one of them that I want to talk about in connection with that video. So firstly, I just want to do like an overall thoughts. I really enjoyed both comics. I've really enjoyed the first issue as well. So yeah, what's going to happen now is I think from this point onwards, Marvin and Jackie's stories are going to be sold as separate comics. The issue 0 was sold as like one comic with both their stories in, but I think going forward this is going to be separate comics now, which I'm personally fine with. That is kind of how it works with other comics, and you know, the characters getting their own comics, unless it's a crossover, in which, yeah, obviously it's one big comic. But it makes sense to me. I do get if people are annoyed by that, because it does mean dishing out more money to get both of the stories if you want both Marvin and Jackie's stories. But at the same time, I personally get it. Although at the same time, I haven't seen anyone complain, so, which is good. I think people understand why this has happened going forward. But both issues are to do with Jackie and Marvin's backstories. So with Jackie, it's how he got his power and sort of leading up to that. With Marvin, it's a bit different. With Marvin, it's how he is introduced to the magic circle and sort of how he gets into it-ish. We'll go into that in a minute. But I want to start with Jackie Boy Man's comic first. So I've just had to put my light on a bit brighter because I forgot that if it's on the lowest setting it just decides to switch off for some reason. But Jackie Boy Man, his issue is a backstory on how he got his powers. So as we know, he does the DoorDash, Uber Eats kind of thing. He works at that kind of company. And he delivers for a company called Eon X, who are, we talked about this experiment that was referenced in issue 0. So a space station was doing an experiment. They sent out an explosion, a ripple that went through time. And this goes into a little bit more detail to do with that. But essentially that ripple and that explosion is what caused Jackie Boy Man's powers. He goes in to the facility just as everything's going wrong, and he is told to pull a particular lever to stop these sort of worlds colliding. From what I can gather, I still haven't fully grasped what this experiment is, but from what I can gather, it's a bit like Into the Spider-Verse, where it's opening up different dimensions. And yeah, let's just get into I was going to be like, okay, I'm going to do non-spoiler stuff first, but actually, yeah, let's get into this. So the experiment comes back at the beginning of his story, and it's explained that, yeah, a ripple was sent out throughout time and then fed back into this creature that is the source of this experiment. The source of this information, all this information is being fed back into this creature. And this creature sees that at some point Jackie Boy Man is going to kill it. And this creature decides, I don't want that, I'm going to seek revenge and kill him first. And it also says that this creature is immune to time. So, I'm going to get into my first theory. I think that creature is anti. Because there's another panel later on where Jackie Boy Man goes into the facility, just as everything has gone wrong. And one of the scientists that's still around tells him, you know, stop the connection between this and that, this world and that world. And we've got to harness the power for our antimatter generator. And just as that happens, Jackie sees a green eye and exclaims, very scared, "Auntie?" So I think the creature at the start of the comic that's having all this information fed into it, I think that's Auntie. Ages ago we watched the Watcher video to do with that security camera, and they mentioned an antimatter generator. My theory at the time was that Iris created Auntie to be able to harness his power and to use that for their technology. But Auntie got too powerful, got out, and they couldn't stop it. I'm still going with that theory, to be honest. I think that's what is happening. I think this experiment is that way to be able to get its power, to get this creature's power to use for their technology. And with it seeing that Jackie is going to kill it, its revenge is what's going to make it more powerful. The fact that the comic also says that it's immune to time is also interesting. So again, ages back we watched the Biorink Redemption video, Kill Jacksepticeye, and in that Auntie says, how many times must we go through this over and over? But at that time we had only seen him, I think that was his third ever appearance, and we were just like, that doesn't make sense. How many times have you been doing this? So him being immune to time, again, it would make sense that the creature is Auntie. Because the theory is that in Biorink, he's gone round in the same cycle millions or thousands of times and getting fed up. But either he doesn't realise it or is just frustrated now. So him being immune to time, it would make sense that that creature would be Auntie. But the panel where Jackie exclaims Auntie with a scared expression, I don't know, the way that the way that he's looking when he sees the eye and stuff, I can't help but think, has Jackie already met Auntie at some point and like it's a memory in the back of his mind? I don't know, or maybe gotten like flashbacks or something, or flashes in his dream or something, where it maybe feels like he's already met him before. But like, you know, there's something at the back of his mind that's trying to remember, like, wait, I feel like I've seen this before. I feel like I know you from somewhere but don't know where. Maybe that's, I don't know, maybe it's just the way it's been drawn but in the comic. But that was what I got from that panel. It's very, very interesting. And yeah, obviously we're not going to get all the answers straight away. I'm kind of doing theories as this is going along. But that's what I think at the moment. I think the creature from the experiment is Auntie. I think Auntie is the one in the green eye that the scientist and Jackie both see. I think Jackie has already met Auntie at some point but maybe doesn't fully remember it. But also when the creature sees that Jackie is going to kill it, we also see a couple of other superheroes. So Jackie at some point, I'm guessing, joins like a Justice League type or Avengers type team, but that hasn't happened yet. He's only just got his powers, and the way the Jackie gets his powers, I kind of love. It's very like Spider-Man inspired, where he's sort of discovering things and a bit confused by it at first, and then going, okay, let's see what I can do. It feels very Spider-Man inspired. And also, like, I think I mentioned Kick-Ass at the beginning of the video. Like, it feels very Kick-Ass as well. Especially with that first fight where weirdly in both film and comic, Jackie sees what he thinks is a bunch of burglars, car burglars, and decides he's going to stop them. Ends up getting hit by a car. And it kind of goes in a bit of a similar way to the film Kick-Ass as well. On that point, those car burglars turn out apparently to be car mechanics. Why are they wearing balaclavas? Like, that didn't make much sense to me. I was like, yeah, actually, I get where you're coming from this time, Jackie. I kind of get it. It's not like with the robots in the last comic. I get it this time. They were wearing balaclavas. Why did they need to do that? It didn't really make a lot of sense. So at the moment, that's kind of all I have to say for Jackie Boy Man's story. Again, I'm kind of doing theories as we're going along with the issues, but I'm sure the theories are going to change as we learn more. But the next comic is Void Silver, which is to do with Marvin. So again, this is to do with Marvin's backstory on how he discovers the magic circle and eventually going into the entrance exam to join the magic circle. Sorry if you can hear my dogs. So I'm just going to talk about the ending first because I have a question that again is going to get answered in later issues, I'm sure. But from what we know from issue 0, Marvin is in the magic circle. He is a member of it. The ending happens, and his story sort of spans over 2 years because his mentor called Ramesses essentially tells him that he can enroll now for the organisation, but his entrance exam is 2 years later. So this story kind of spans over 2 years as he learns about different types of magic and how spells and potions and stuff work. What's interesting is that the comic literally ends with Marvin saying that he failed his entrance exam. Yet the Magic Circle are very interested to know what he's up to, and he seems to be really important. So what happens in between that time? Clearly they ask for him back, but I'm interested to know how what's gonna happen then. But clearly the Magic Circle are going to ask for him to retake the exam or like try again because they want him as a member. Why they want him as a member, I don't know yet. But again, these are all things that are going to be answered in later issues. But I thought that was interesting as an interesting way to like end the comic of him failing the entrance exam. I was like, okay, now what? And while I'm enjoying like Jackie Boy Man's story and his adventures, I think I'm way more interested in Marvin's just because, I mean, one, the panels are so pretty. I mean, the artwork is fantastic. I'll say that up front. The artwork is fantastic. But the panels, especially when Marvin has his lucid dreaming, I'll put 2 of the panels in here just so you guys can see. But they look so amazing. And what I like about the magic in Marvin's world is that it's very sort of, it's a mixture of like typical witches and wizards magic that we know of, as well as like Wicca inspired magic. So Ramesses, who ends up becoming Marvin's mentor throughout the 2 years, he explains that like there's different forms of magic within like nature, movement, the plants and the animals, but normal humans aren't able to unlock those because they don't have the magic to be able to, or the magical ability to be able to. The use of wands is also explained, and you can either have like iron wands as like tools to help you, or you can have like iron tattoos, which is really, really interesting. So it's like, oh, if you want to be able to control your power, you can either have a wand to help you with that, or you can have like a tattoo that will always be with you and will help you control and harness that power. I think that's a really, really interesting way to explain how Marvin controls things and how, I guess, he keeps things in check. It's a really unique way to do it, and I really, really like that it's sort of a mixture of mainstream media magic as well as like actual magic and potions are. I think it's a really interesting way to do it. So, of course, I have a theory. Of course I was going to have a theory. So, at one point, I mentioned the dreams already, but in those lucid dreams, Marvin mentions meeting a cat, this giant white cat that talks to him and sort of guides him to Ramesses. What's interesting about that is Marvin tells Ramesses about this cat, and like, oh, Ramesses has no idea what Marvin's talking about. And he says, you know, that's your dream, that's not my dreams. So I don't know what you're talking about. And Ramesses later explains that actually what Marvin saw is an unthinkable entity that has guided him. And he explains that his mind, Marvin's mind, has shown him this entity in the form of a cat, because the entity's true form, if it was to show itself to Marvin, his little human brain can't handle it, and it would go poof, explode. So, theory time. Can this entity be shown as a sound? Because I mentioned Anomaly found Chase Brody, and there's a reason for that. In one of the scenes in that video, Chase starts hearing a whale-like noise and calls it Echo. Is this the same entity? Like, is this the exact same one? Ramesses started saying that, and I was like, I think we've seen this before. So yeah, I'm wondering if the entity and Echo are the same thing. If they're not, then I'm interested to know where it's going to go, especially with Echo in Anomaly Found. But I do wonder if they're both connected in some way. But yeah, so this was my review / theory video on Void Silver and the somewhat incredible Jackie Boy Man. This was issue 1. We've got to issue 1 finally. So issue 2 is apparently coming out in summer. So that's not very long. We're already in June. So I think it's going to come out in a couple months' time, which is actually a lot quicker than I was expecting it to do so. And Jackie Boy Man's cover is very interesting. It seems like it's either a werewolf or like a wolf monster that he's going to meet. So I'm very interested to know how that's going to go. I hope the whole thing with the experiment continues. Yeah, I'm very interested to know how Marvin is going to get into the magic circle. But this was my review / theory video on Void Silver and the somewhat incredible Jackie Boy Man, issue 1. I will put Bad Egg Publishing, I'll put their website in the description below, so you guys can go and order the comics for yourself if you want to. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye!